I think while Karen's getting ready, I want to share with you just real quickly. As principal at Pleasant Valley High School, I wanted 100% graduation rate. I wanted every one of my seniors, and I challenged those seniors 2 years ago. I said, you'd be the first class since I've been here 13 years to actually start with 75 and end with 75 graduating. And the way this came about was I had one student who was having a lot of difficulties at home. He was living out of his car. He actually only needed 3 credits or 3 classes to graduate. He'd already passed the graduation exam. And we met, Miss Winn came to meet, she was deputy superintendent, and what we found out was that Cameron said, I can't get to school before 9 o'clock. And additionally, could you feed me breakfast? And he said, and I really need to leave by 12 o'clock because I've got a job that I'm flipping burgers somewhere and I need to be there. So Karen said, well, sure, Cameron, well, tell us what you want. So that's how that's how it started, and we had a team of teachers there. Also, we had his economics teacher that said, well, Cameron, you really need to be in class for the economics portion. You can do your others online. And we met, and we found a common ground, and actually Cameron graduated. You know, it was such a thrill to shake his hand as he walked across that stage. And every one of his classmates graduated with him. So we took that and moved forward. So with the waiver.
I know many of you have heard Dr. Bice talk about his Plan 2020. So our waiver that we really, again, it's 85 pages document that numerous people spent time writing their philosophy, and if they could waive some of the restrictions in our county school system, what would be the success for our students. So we pulled together and we did a design, and it kind of went around this couple, and I'll send you this picture. But this is Brooklyn and Justin, and they've given us permission to share their story. Brooklyn and Justin were career tech students. Justin would go one day, and then Brooklyn would go the next day. They were skipping school every other day to take care of their baby. Now this was about December, and Mr. Wayne Smart noticed that Brooklyn and Justin were not coming to school. Now normal restrictions and normal rules and normal guidelines, their attendance was calculating up on the computer, and guess what we were trying to do? We were going to seek truancy for this couple because we're required to do that. You have to attend, and they're trying to take care of their baby. Now Justin was working 2 jobs. He was working at Dad's Barbecue, and he's also working at Domino's Pizza. And Brooklyn was working at Jack's. And she said, you know, Miss Wynn, I would quit work, but I won't be able to buy diapers or milk and feed my baby. We don't have the resources to come to school. They passed all components of the grad exam, and it was going into their last semester, and they could not make it. So with the blessings of Mr. Dyer, and again, you can do nothing if you do not have an innovative leader. So with the blessings and with a heart, Mr. Dyer said, go see what we can make happen for this couple. Mr. Smart, career tech director, worked with Miss Hines, and they worked out a plan where they would come every other day or come when they could. They did a lot of online learning. Justin struggled. He was going to actually quit school so that Brooklyn could finish because he said she was really smart. She was doing the med prep. So we worked out a plan, breaking all the rules, for them to do their learning anytime, anywhere, at any given place. And they actually both finished in February. And he finished before her because he said she helped him. Now, here's the ending of the story. This picture was taken this summer. They came by with the baby, and we have a little video clip. I thought today's meeting was a meeting across the table with Dr. Hammond, so I have 5 handouts, and you are a much larger number than 5. But our story here is they came by, and they actually, since Brooklyn was homeless, and she was also being raised, she was scared to lose the baby because she had been through some foster care as a child. But she's homeless. Becky Cox, our homeless liaison, worked with them to get Justin's car. His car broke down in February and he couldn't make it to work. So the YMCA gets his car free. They've got daycare for them for $50 a month to pay. They were willing to pay something. But since they're homeless, Becky Cox got Brooklyn a scholarship. And so now, this was the day they were leaving for Colorado. They have family in Colorado, and they both are enrolled in college in Colorado. So we see this as a huge success story that guided us to write our waiver. So we'll take just some main points. We won't take about 5 minutes to talk about the waiver. The first thing we ask for, of course, what would you ask for if you were in our shoes? The very first thing you would ask for to be waived from? The grad exam. We wanted out from underneath an obsolete, memorize these facts grad exam. That has been a barrier and an injustice to at least 10 years of our students. Well, 12 actually. So we asked for the grad exam to be waived. And we didn't get all that we wanted, but this is what we did receive. We waived the science and social studies. It's gone. Now, in place of, remember when you ask for a waiver, you don't just get to say, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. You have to go above and beyond what you were required to do. So in place of science and social studies, we're going to do project-based learning. That critical thinking skills that you guys are going to focus on, you wait till we send you some kids. They're going to blow you away. So we've been working with Eric Lee, Technology in Motion, JSU, and we're doing the Intel model for project-based learning, science and social studies teachers. We already have embedded professional development for this entire year. The second thing that we asked for, we did ask for math, reading, and language arts to be waived, and they said, no, federal government won't let us do that to that level. However, you can design your own college and career ready standards end of course test, go ahead and teach those ACT standards, and then you could test your children on that and set your scores. So we're going to be teaching at a higher level, not remediating for the grad exam, but moving to ACT, the college and career ready standards.
Another component of the waiver is community service project, and one of our teachers piloted this program last year. And we're going to tweak this some, but we're asking 2 projects, 1 per semester. And to give you an example of what the project, what little portion it entailed last year was, one of the students decided, I think instead of going to college, I want to be able to build houses. So what the teacher had this student do, and the teachers from Pleasant Valley, she asked each one of her seniors to find a mentor in the community, and actually some of the mentors are JSU professors. And I don't know if any of you are in here, but to go back to this one student, he decided that his project was going to be learning how to frame houses. And they have to put together a portfolio. There's a lot to it other than hammers and nails. So that is just one example. One other example that, and this wasn't a community service project, but this young lady was so interested in the paranormal. And supposedly out at Pleasant Valley, there is a haunted house. Well, she hooked up with one of the professors here at JSU. They took all their paranormal equipment out to that house and did the project. And she said, Miss Rowe, well, it just happens to be my wife, that's why I know so much about it. She said, you will see me on TV one day. I will be one of those, because that's what I want to do. So as part of this community service type project, we want the kids to find out before they get into the real world if this is something they actually want to do. And she did find out that some said after the first week, no, can I please change my project? And she allowed them to do that. So that's another portion of the waiver.
We also ask for students to be able to pre-test and award credit based on their content knowledge, which will also yield that possibly we'll have a graduation in December instead of just in May. So our waiver kind of says, come to us, we'll teach you anytime, anywhere, any child, but we'll also let you learn at your own pace. And if you move on, we're not going to just hold you to May just because we have to hold you here. That's very exciting to me because we already have 2 students that are at least a year ahead. One finished this summer. And what our biggest challenge is, how do we change graduations? You know, everybody's used to graduation in May. How do we change and possibly have a graduation in December?
And what we found out with Brooklyn came to me and she had the baby in the bucket. Y'all know the bucket.
It's like a pumpkin seed.
She said, Mr. Rowe, I've graduated, but I haven't graduated. I've completed all my paperwork, but I don't have that certificate. And I said, Brooklyn, I can't help you with a certificate. We're not to that point yet, but I will be glad to write you a letter saying you've completed all the coursework so your employer will let you work a 40-hour week. Wouldn't let the student work a 40-hour week without a diploma. So we wrote the letter, and then she was allowed to finish out that school year with a 40-hour week job, which didn't do anything but help her family.
Now, part of our waiver is actually, and I'm proud to say this, Calhoun County is driving change in the state. Dr. Bice has taken our waiver, and he's actually been in front of other people. And we got a memo last week, and one of the things that we asked for in the waiver was to waive the restrictions on the co-op. Because what happened with that before is we only had 9 students in the co-op program, because you had to be in a certain field and then also go to work in that same field. For example, if you were studying to be a cosmetologist, you had to be working off with the cosmetology field in a beauty shop or in a barber shop. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed that there's been a decline in our socioeconomic status. And many of our kids may be seeking a welding degree, but they may need to work in the fast food industry because mom and dad got laid off or there was a furlough at Bynum. So we had it waived. They are still seeking their credentials at the Career Tech, but if they need to leave half a day early to go work at Jack's, then we said, go work at Jack's. Because money matters. I don't know how many of you put yourself through college, but there's a number of our students that work and go to school. So we got that waived, and I just noticed that we got a memo last week from the state superintendent giving some other options for those credentials. Now, recently, last week, and I'm not going to hold you long because I know you've been sitting for a while, but last week we met with Dale Marsh, and we also met with Jabbo Wagner. And this meeting was organized by Tracy Roberts, who's on the state board. And all they wanted us to do was talk about flexibility and what flexibility could mean to us and what it could mean to our kids. And we asked for flexibility with the funding as well, because we can move things around, but if we don't have the funds to support it, you guys know what happens with that. So we did ask that our students that are in Career Tech, and we hope that we have many more that go through Career Tech, that will also go to college, but they may be an engineer with a welding degree, not too bad to be a double threat and can make a living. We asked for them to fund for them to get the credentials. Because if they come, we want them to leave high school certified, safe serve with culinary arts. We want them certified where they can work and make good money while they're also seeking higher ed. So we are very excited. We thank you so much. It's an honor to be in front of you guys. I really feel slightly intimidated, and I have on my kindergarten shoes and not my higher ed shoes because I'm having other kindergartners today. And I know that we don't send them to you perfectly ready. We know that you're freshmen dropout and also hanging on to those kids. But when you see those freshmen come in, just think, you could be a kindergarten teacher that's dragging one in screaming and crying. It was the last time somebody come in your room screaming and crying. Their mama could be screaming and crying out in the hall. And their daddy could be calling the school 15 times to check on little Johnny to see if they're screaming and crying. And many of the kids that we receive come into kindergarten have not been to daycare, do not have any idea of how to open up a book or which way to hold a book, much less technology. So we thank you for all that you do. We hope that we build a much stronger partnership together and stronger. You good?